The tennis world just came to a standstill because of Alex Eala. And it wasn't due to a blistering forehand or a championship ace, but because of what she said. Her words brought the entire Indian Wells Stadium to a dead silence. Imagine a 20-year-old from Quezon City ranked 31st on the planet standing in the California heat while 16,000 spectators hung on her every move. In that moment, she chose to speak not about the game, but about where she came from, about the people she carried with her, and about those who could never afford a ticket to watch her. This story goes far beyond a typical sports headline. This is about what unfolds when a young woman who grew up watching Manny Pacquiao on borrowed televisions decides that celebrity without a cause is meaningless. You'll want to stay with us until the very end because the events that followed her speech will honestly send a shiver down your spine. To fully grasp the sheer impact of that Indian Wells moment, you must first understand Alex Eala's origins, not just her hometown, but the emotional, cultural, and historical forces that shaped her. Alexandra Eala came into the world on May 23, 2005 in Quezon City, Philippines, a sprawling metropolis of over 3 million residents where the divide between affluence and hardship is a stark reality on every block. Her mother, Riza, served as the chief financial officer for Globe Telecom, so it's true that Alex was raised with a certain amount of privilege. However, the Philippines possesses a unique way of ensuring its youth never lose sight of the world just beyond their own front door. In the Philippines, poverty is not some distant concept you observe. It is a living, breathing presence right next to you. And right from the start, there was something different about Alex. She possessed more than just raw talent. She had a profound awareness. She was conscious of what she symbolized. Conscious that each time she stepped onto the court, millions from a country longing for a new hero were watching her on their phones, from their jobs, and on flickering television sets in neighborhoods where electricity was never a guarantee. Veteran Filipino sports journalist TJ Manito characterized the Philippines as a nation that was starved for the next Manny Pacquiao. During Pacquiao's prime, the entire country would grind to a halt. When he had a fight, the streets were completely deserted. Absolutely everyone was watching. Alex Eala entered that void, initially making a quiet entrance. Then, in what felt like an instant, she made history as the first Filipino to ever win a Grand Slam junior singles title, capturing the girls' singles crown at the 2022 U.S. Open. She was just 17, at an age where most kids are just figuring themselves out. Alex Eala was already making her mark on the biggest stages in the world. But her historic journey was only getting started. She soared to a career-best WTA singles ranking of world number 31 on February 23, 2026, establishing herself as the highest-ranked Filipino player in the history of the WTA Tour. She was the first Filipino to ever break into the top 50. She had defeated Grand Slam champions and played in front of sold-out arenas. She had turned tennis, a sport that was previously just a footnote in Filipino sports culture, into something resembling a national passion. And still, throughout it all, a part of her never fully embraced the comfort of her success. There was something that kept her looking back, something that made her remember. You can sense it when you watch her interviews, in the thoughtful pauses, and in a sense of gratitude that is too authentic to be faked. When Alex Eala mentions the Philippines, it doesn't sound like a brand spokesperson delivering a marketing slogan. She says it with the tone of someone who has been away from their home for far too long. That sentiment is the entire basis for what was about to happen at Indian Wells. It was that connection that set the stage for everything. Keep watching, because her next statement would leave even those in her inner circle completely stunned. The Indian Wells Open, which is frequently referred to as the fifth Grand Slam, is a major WTA 1000 tournament that takes place each year in Southern California. The Women's Tennis Association confirms that it stands as the most attended tennis competition in the world, apart from the 4 official Grand Slams. And for Alex Eala, this tournament marked her very first time competing at Indian Wells. Let that fact settle in for a moment. After all her victories and all the records, she had shattered the stunning desert oasis of Indian Wells with its iconic courts and palm trees, was still waiting for her debut. As fate would have it, her timing was absolutely impeccable. The week before the competition even began, the excitement surrounding her was palpable. On Tennis Channel Live, Chris Eubanks made a direct appeal to the tournament planners. He noted that the incredible support she had been receiving over the last several months could inspire athletes to do truly remarkable things. He strongly suggested putting her on a bigger court so that everyone could remain safe, anticipating that a massive number of fans would show up to cheer for her. He wasn't wrong. Indian Wells needed to learn from the misstep that occurred at the Australian Open. At her first Grand Slam, she was put on a court with a capacity of a little under 1,500, which left hundreds of her fans crowded outside the stadium, unable to find a seat. The tennis establishment consistently underestimated the sheer power of the movement she was leading. The tournament's Day in the Life feature with Aya blew up, becoming their most-watched YouTube video of the year by a huge margin. On Instagram, Indian Wells presented its class of 2026 with a post featuring 9 women, 7 top 10 players, a famous American, and Aya. She wasn't a top-ranked player, nor was she seeded yet. Her name carried a weight that statistics could never measure. But why? It's because over 10 million Filipinos live outside of the Philippines, and about 1.7 million of them are in California alone. Indian Wells is located in California. You can do the math. This isn't just a fan base, it's a veritable force of nature. Her opening match was a grueling 2-hour and 43-minute battle, the longest of the day. She secured a hard-fought 3-set victory over the world's 52nd ranked player Diana Yastremska 7-5, 4-6, 7-5. The match ended late at night in the chilly desert air, and yet they all remained, every last one of them. After her win, Aya told the press, "For them to go to the trouble of staying up late in the cold to cheer me on, it really heightened all the feelings and emotions." She was referring to her fans, but it felt as if she was speaking about something much larger, something she had been holding inside, just waiting for the chance to express. The very next day, during a press conference, confirming her draw, a highly anticipated round of 32 match against Coco Gauff that the tennis community had been dreaming of, Alex Aya stepped into the room and completely upended the conversation. But what followed was something no one was prepared for. The press briefing kicked off just like any other. The questions were predictable: how she was getting ready for the tournament, her thoughts on the spectators, the vibe at Indian Wells, all the typical inquiries. With her characteristic warmth, Alex gave composed, considered answers, a smile on her face the entire time. Then a reporter threw out a question whose impact caught everyone completely off guard. It was an unassuming, almost off-the-cuff query, basically asking, "Alex, your fan base has exploded in size. What responsibility, if any, do you feel towards them?" A silence followed so profound it seemed to take up all the air in the room. That's when Alex Aya stared straight into the camera lens and with quiet, unwavering conviction revealed she had given this a great deal of thought. She explained that the love she felt from Filipino communities worldwide was invaluable, something that no ranking championship or sponsorship contract could ever truly compensate for. She spoke of personally witnessing the incredible sacrifices made by Filipino families just so they could support her. This included parents forgoing food to afford tickets to her matches and workers abroad crowding into apartments at 3 in the morning to catch her games in European tournaments. She clarified that her desire to reciprocate was not a publicity move or a play for headlines. Instead, it stemmed from a deep-seated unease. She couldn't rest easy knowing that her most passionate fans were often those facing the most significant hardships. Following that, she declared the formation of the AYA Foundation, a charitable organization backed by an initial $50 million dedicated to aiding underprivileged Filipino communities by focusing on educational access, healthcare for kids, and the development of youth sports. She revealed that this project had been in development behind the scenes for months, that she had spoken with her family about it, and was determined to have everything solidly in place before making it public. The room fell completely still. This wasn't the usual polite silence you find at a press conference. It was the profound quiet that descends when a moment of raw, unplanned sincerity pierces the ordinary. The reporters' fingers froze over their keyboards. Filming continued uninterrupted. No one made a move to stop. In the back, one Filipino journalist could be seen with her hand pressed to her mouth, overcome with emotion. Then, in an instant, the room exploded with sound. Back in the Philippines, it was already the dead of night. Social media, however, operates around the clock. Within minutes, video clips of the announcement were already going viral. By the next morning, Alex Aya's name was a major topic of discussion in the Philippines, in the United States, in Spain, and in Australia, anywhere she'd ever competed in front of her Filipino fanbase. However, the situation grew more complex from here, as not everyone was celebrating the news. In the age of social media, fame cuts both ways. And Alex Aya, consciously or not, had already learned this painful lesson well before her time at Indian Wells. What the glowing headlines failed to mention was a crucial piece of the backstory. For more than a year, Alex Aya was persistently the subject of online disinformation campaigns that wrongly credited her with making huge charitable contributions. There were fabricated posts alleging a $10 million donation to a children's charity. Other false claims circulated that she had given close to 4 million pesos to elderly homeless individuals in Quezon City. A single Facebook post asserting she contributed $500 million to disaster victims in northern Cebu garnered 1.3 million views, 47,000. 800 likes, and in excess of 3,000 comments before it was exposed as a lie. Perhaps the most malicious of these fabrications were the posts that claimed she had given her entire earnings from prizes and sponsorships, a figure falsely cited as $15.9 million to a homeless shelter in Metro Manila. A single Facebook post promoting this falsehood accumulated over 200,000 likes and reactions. These were all complete falsehoods, manufactured stories that exploited her name, her picture, and her reputation to boost engagement, generate clicks, and in some instances funnel users to scam sites. So, when the authentic announcement finally happened, with Alex Eala making a real formal commitment to establish a foundation backed by tangible assets, something strange and terribly unfair occurred. There were those who simply refused to believe it. It was as if the boy who cried wolf had been wearing Alex Eala's face for the past year. The online world had been fed so many lies in her name that when the truth finally emerged, it was met with a thick wall of skepticism. Within hours, detractors began to surface online. Some labeled it a publicity stunt strategically timed with her performance at Indian Wells. Others raised doubts about the $50 million figure. Questions were raised. What was the source of the money? Was it capital in hand or merely a pledge? Was the foundation officially registered? Was there transparency? Political figures also began to chime in. In a nation where athletic heroes hold immense cultural significance, various politicians started to strategically position themselves in relation to the announcement. Some lauded her actions, while others used it as an opportunity to question if the government ought to be doing more so that a 20-year-old tennis player wouldn't feel compelled to. As one person had commented in response to the earlier fabricated donation stories, "Our trillionaire politicians contribute nothing, and their fortunes are built on stolen funds. They're just greedy." With a legitimate announcement now in the public sphere, this exact sentiment erupted. Without meaning to, and quite by chance, Alex Eala had sparked a political inferno. The uproar was immense. And through it all, somewhere in Indian Wells, California, a 20-year-old was getting ready to play against Coco Gauff on a major court. The way she managed the subsequent fallout is a true testament to her character. It is vital to distinguish what the AYA Foundation announcement truly was from what it wasn't, as the ensuing clamor often overshadowed the core substance of the matter. This was far from a spur-of-the-moment decision or a calculated move for the cameras. Those in Alex Eala's inner circle, her family, her management, the people who witnessed her journey from junior champion to international icon, all affirmed that talk of giving back had been ongoing for years. This was long before she entered the top 100, long before her miraculous win in Miami, and certainly long before Indian Wells. Riza Manoa, her mother, had worked for years at Globe Telecom, a company deeply invested in developmental programs within the Philippines. The concept of giving back was not new to her family. The change was that Alex now had the visibility and the fortitude to put these ideas into action. The Eala Foundation's focus on educational access, children's healthcare, and youth sports wasn't some random decision. These pillars were a direct response to the needs Alex had witnessed firsthand. During promotional tours in the provinces, she saw kids trying to play tennis with busted rackets on cracked concrete courts. She'd listened to Filipino workers abroad talk about their children attending schools so short on funds that 3 kids had to share a single textbook. In her private moments away from the court, she often talked about her desire to make tennis in the Philippines accessible to everyone, not just the wealthy. Back in February of 2026, Eala was a key figure in the hashtag #MyoStory campaign and an initiative aimed at creating an online community of champions. That was more than just a sponsorship opportunity. It was a clear sign. Her mind was already on building community, mentoring others, and establishing a lasting legacy. Launching the foundation was simply the next logical move. Regarding the $50 million figure, that number is a mix of her own, committed donation, a matching pledge from corporate sponsors her team had been negotiating with privately for months, and a fundraising goal set to be reached over 5 years. It's not as if this was all delivered in one lump sum. Think of it as a structured commitment, a promise with a solid plan to back it up. But here is what the online critics who jumped on this in the first few hours don't seem to get about Alex Eala. She's never been one to put on a show of virtue for public approval. As she puts it herself, "The most powerful thing I can do is be brave." For her, bravery extends beyond smashing a forehand winner to clinch a match. It's about facing the world and declaring, "I recognize what's important, and I'm going to take action." Viewed from that perspective, the foundation wasn't a shock in the slightest. It was always going to happen. So, this is the bottom line. Alex Eala's trip to Indian Wells was about more than just playing tennis. She was there to make a declaration that will endure far longer than any trophy ranking or final score. She was there to state, "I am more than an athlete." Bourgeois. I am a Filipino, and I have not forgotten where I come from. This $50 million foundation doesn't mark the conclusion of her story. It's the start of a new chapter that caught everyone the W. Her sponsors, the commentators completely off guard because their eyes were fixed on her forehand. They were analyzing her serve. They were tracking her scores. No one was paying attention to what was in her heart, but they should have been. Now it's your turn to weigh in. When athletes achieve the level of success that Alex Eala has, are we entitled to expect them to contribute to society? Or is it sufficient that one young woman's bravery can inspire a whole nation and give millions of people faith in their own potential? Share your thoughts in the comment section. This discussion is only just beginning. If you found this story compelling, if it reaffirmed your belief in the importance of sports, then please subscribe. Our coverage of women's tennis is handled with the integrity, passion, and admiration these competitors have rightfully earned. We release new content weekly. Make sure you don't miss what's coming up next.